It started with a letter taped to my front door in bold, all caps font. Notice, your HOA membership has been terminated effective immediately. I stared at it for a long minute, half confused, half amused. Terminated? Like I'd been fired from a job I never applied for? Karen, the queen bee of our HOA, strutted up the sidewalk not 30 seconds later. She must have been waiting around to see my reaction. "Oh good, you saw it," she said smugly. "Effective today, you're no longer a member of our association. You're banned from meetings, amenities, and voting. Consider this your eviction from community life." I raised an eyebrow. "You can't just cancel my membership. I own my property." Her grin widened. "The board voted unanimously. You're disruptive, argumentative, and frankly, an eyesore with that rusty truck in your driveway. We don't want you here anymore." I laughed out loud. "Karen, this isn't a country club. You can't just kick me out of a homeowners association like it's a Netflix subscription." But she thought she could. Within days, the HOA started sending me non-member penalties. They blocked me from the pool and the community garden. They even tried to fine me for parking in my own driveway. That's when I realized this wasn't just pettiness. It was retaliation. And retaliation, in the context of housing, is illegal. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in HOA law. When I showed him the letter and the pile of fines, his eyes lit up. "This is textbook illegal retaliation," he said. "They don't have the authority to strip you of membership for exercising your rights as a homeowner." See, a month earlier, I challenged the board about misusing HOA funds for Karen's pet project, some ridiculous garden statue that cost over $20,000. She didn't like being questioned, so she cooked up this stunt to silence me. My lawyer wasted no time. We filed a lawsuit for wrongful retaliation, breach of fiduciary duty, and harassment. We also requested a temporary injunction to halt all fines and penalties against me until the case was resolved. Karen, of course, doubled down. At the next HOA meeting, she proudly announced, "We will crush this frivolous lawsuit. He'll regret crossing me." Big mistake. Because what she didn't know was that the judge assigned to our case had zero tolerance for HOA abuse. In the first hearing, when Karen's attorney tried to argue that the HOA could discretionarily terminate membership, the judge raised an eyebrow and said, "On what planet? That's not how property ownership works." The courtroom chuckled. Karen turned beet red. Then came discovery, the process of gathering evidence. And boy, did the skeletons tumble out of Karen's closet. Emails surfaced where she admitted the expulsion was personal. "He embarrassed me at the last meeting," she'd written to the board. "I don't care if it's legal or not. Get rid of him." That email became Exhibit A. The trial itself was brutal for Karen. My lawyer shredded the HOA's flimsy arguments. Witnesses testified about Karen's years of bullying. Former board members admitted she often manipulated votes by threatening to fine them personally if they didn't agree with her. When the verdict came down, it wasn't just in my favor, it was a landslide. The judge ruled that my membership had never been legally terminated and that the HOA's actions constituted unlawful retaliation. Karen and the board were personally liable for damages. But the cherry on top, the judge referred the matter to the county prosecutor, noting that Karen's misuse of HOA funds bordered on embezzlement. 2 weeks later, Karen was in handcuffs. Fraud, retaliation, embezzlement, the list of charges went on. She looked absolutely stunned as officers escorted her out of the HOA office in front of the entire neighborhood. The HOA, already bankrupt from legal fees, dissolved shortly after. The neighborhood voted to remove the association entirely, returning control to individual homeowners. Now my rusty truck sits proudly in the driveway with a new coat of paint. Neighbors wave as they pass by, and the once toxic HOA office stands empty, weeds growing through the cracks in the sidewalk. As for Karen, she's facing 30 months in state prison. Every time I walk past the old office, I think back to her smug little smile that day she taped the letter to my door. She thought she'd canceled me. Instead, she canceled herself. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, you'll be compensated once the sales finalize." My blood boiled. "You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft." Karen laughed. "You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO, and while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. "Hey, you might want to check your records," I told him, "because your company just built Phase 2 on land I still own." There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.